What up, David here with a video covering the Super Mario Brothers movie, 2023. I just saw it, and this is going to be like my first impressions video. Just like, after I've slept on it, I'm going to just talk about it. So, spoiler warning, I'm not going to try to spoil the movie, but I probably will by accident. So, I'm just going to issue a spoiler warning now because I'm going to talk about my favorite parts of the movie, and I saw the results of the poll, so expect a more thorough review later on, because I want to talk about its elements and why it was, actually really, really fun, and I might even see it a second time before I do that. But, holy crap, that was such a delight of a movie. It was probably everything I was expecting, in a good way, from an Illumination-styled Mario movie. In fact, it was even a little bit better, because I was kind of worried that they would dive a little too much into, emotional stuff. Maybe, Mario and Luigi would have a fight, they would split up, get back together, have a heart-to-heart. But if anything, they kind of did that with Donkey Kong a little bit, and they didn't overindulge with that, which I really, really liked. There's a moment where they both kind of talk about their fathers, and it's kind of a nice moment, but it didn't detract from anything, because the movie was also really paced out well. The cast was great. I actually really liked Chris Pratt. I mean, I don't like him, love him, but he did the job. It wasn't as lame as that soundbite that we got in the first trailer drop, which, by the way, that soundbite was nowhere to be found in the movie. So I think they were trolling us with that trailer. But Chris Pratt did a lovely job. He did a perfectly serviceable job as Mario. I did not have any complaints about it. I would have more complaints if he did a bad job, but I don't think he blew it out of the water. But I don't think it was perfectly good. Anya Taylor-Joy, great as Peach. Charlie Day's Luigi was amazing. I really, really liked him. Seth Rogen was fine as Donkey Kong, but he had some moments like the "Now you die" line, which is in one of the trailers. That's a great line. Jack Black as Bowser was incredible. For those of you who saw the movie and know what I'm talking about, Peaches. That's all I'm gonna say. Peaches is great. In that scene, by the way, there's also a lovely little Easter egg. Bowser's playing a piano, and it says Ludwig von Koopa on the piano, where it would say, Steinway or Yamaha or whatever. And that was, those are the little moments, what I really wanted for me personally were moments that referred to the games that just kind of give you that feeling of, haha, I caught that. And there were dozens of those. There were so many good ones. And just the designs of the characters, the Shy Guys specifically, they're Shy Guys in the movie, their walk cycle when they're okay, this is more into spoiler territory, but when they find Luigi and are carting him off to Bowser, the Shy Guy walk cycle is just I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It just they looked so good, just chilling, just scooting up with a captured Luigi. On that note, probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie was Luigi in the woods, because they do some referencing with the Dry Bones character, and they do it perfectly as you would expect them to do in a movie. He accidentally crumples it and then it puts itself back together, and I'm oh yes, that's a menace. So the Dry Bones scene and subsequently Shy Guy scene, because that whole scene is played out like a horror movie, and I absolutely adored it. Peach was a great character. Again, I like how they use her and her proficiency with the obstacle course as a speedrunning challenge. Basically, there's a moment where Peach is training Mario to kind of get through an obstacle course, because oh, hey, we're gonna deal with stuff like this, and she demos how to get through it. And when you're watching it, you're oh, homegirl's a speedrunner. Those are the things that make the gamer in me really happy. And also, in that scene, when Mario's going through it, you're that is what playing a Mario game for the first time is like. So that was a delight to watch. Especially there's a bit where he's on a donut lift and he's yes, and then it falls, and I'm hitting the block from under and falling into the pit. Yeah, that was another one. All the designs of the enemies were great, or no, the characters in general. The Toads looked really good. The Goomba, there were not a lot of Goombas in this movie, but there's a point where Bowser calls out to the Goombas, and they looked pretty awesome. All the Koopas were great. I like the gag of him forgetting what Spinies are called. Also, isn't it weird that Spinies are in this movie, but Lakitu is not? Shout outs to anyone who wants to rip me apart for saying Lakitu. I've said that since I was a kid, and I'm probably going to say it till I die. What else we got? Yeah, Donkey Kong scene was fun. That whole action bit was great. The kart scene, so one of the things that's great about this movie is like they use a lot of Mario music in this movie. They also use a lot of like real world music. Like there's a scene where they use Take On Me, and then they use an AC/DC song later. And the kart scene is awesome. When they're in the garage building their karts, like I think for a second they even play like the Mario Kart like car select theme, which is just, chef's kiss. But when they first see Peach's castle, they do the dun 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 dun. And first of all, you want them to use the game music, but you also have to understand that when they design video game music, also shout outs to Koji Kondo, original composer for a lot of these tracks, the remixes were so good. When they design video game music, it's meant to be loopable, so you can hear it for an extended amount of time. And in a movie, it could get like pretty samey. So they do a good job kind of mixing in some very popular musical motifs in a way that doesn't like overstay anything. Like there's a scene where they're underground and they play like a really kind of funky remix of the underground theme. And then later on, when Bowser's talking with Kamek, he's like on the piano playing the underground theme, which is great. I really enjoyed the action. Holy crap. The kart scene. Okay, we need to talk about the Rainbow Road kart scene because my favorite character is in this scene. My favorite character is this random Koopa, and there's a little twist with his character. I don't know why. Like I already gave a spoiler warning, so if you've seen it, you've seen it. But just what they do with his character, because there's a point where I think he's basically finished in the movie, and I loved him because he's driving this like mega truck and he's trying to go after Mario, and he's like laughing maniacally this whole time. And basically Mario gives him the slip. You think he's pretty much done with his role in the movie, but then he like pops out again and he does something, and I'm like, I should have known that was going there, and it was perfect. I just love that scene so much. He was my favorite character, bar none, in the movie. Literally, I made a short about it, but I like the nods to the Yoshis. There's a scene where Mario and Peach and Toad are running through the kingdoms, and you see the desert, which is very like Tostarena inspired, like in the Odyssey, which I appreciate. There's they go through Yoshi's Island basically, so I'm assuming like, was that dinosaur land? Like is there a dinosaur kingdom that's basically the area that takes place in Super Mario World? They're in Cranky Kong's hut, or Donkey Kong's hut, because his hammock was in there. There's like a blueprint a map behind Cranky Kong, and it looks very Mario World inspired, but you could tell it's this version of the Mushroom Kingdom that they're doing. They draw from Odyssey a lot in terms of how the kingdoms are laid out. Also, the opening scene is so damn good, where, it's more extended than what we've seen in the trailers, but with a penguin who's like, do you yield? There's also a Toad in Peach's court that also has a deep voice, and I just loved every time he spoke. I liked, of course, the psychotic Luma. You're all trapped down here. You're in home now. Great character. Loved it. It even pops in again later in the movie, and it's like, oh, I guess that was lame. Now it's just the void, or whatever. Yeah, that Luma was fun. Also, I guess, you know what's cool about this movie also? It left a lot of stuff on the table. There are some enemies that appear in this game, and you're like, oh, so glad to see you. So glad to see you. There's some enemies like Booze and Hammer. Well, no, there are Hammer Brothers in this movie, but they're not like highlighted at all. In the ending sequence, there's like a sumo brother, which is cool. Or no, the big Hammer Brother, not a sumo. That's like sumo's the fire guy, but you know what I mean. The one from Mario 3, the big Hammer Brother. I lost my train of thought for a second. Yeah. Booze don't appear in this movie, which means like they gotta appear in the next movie with like Luigi playing vacuum or doing the vacuum thing or whatever. Buzzy Beetles don't appear in this movie. I really thought the Super Mario Brothers 1 enemies would all show up in some way. Buzzy Beetles, Booze weren't in the first Mario Brothers movie, but they're iconic. Yeah, Buzzy Beetles, Lakitu, and there wasn't a lot of Hammer Brother. Like, it was a lot of, like, basic, like, Koopas. You could even say Koopa Trolls because they're, like, military Koopas. I'm not worried about the Hammer Brother thing because I'm sure they were there and I might have just missed their presence in the movie, too. a lot of the enemies, you could tell this was the world, the Mushroom Kingdom was very like 3D world inspired as well, which is a game that I haven't really played much. I've played Bowser's Fury, but you can tell by like a lot of the enemies that first show up, you're like those like colorful little bug things whose name I don't even know. They're like kind of milling around. And they also departed from like, I guess, the story of Mario 1. Super Mario Brothers 1, which is not a problem with me. Like, I didn't even think they were going to rehash that story, because in that story, Bowser is a sorcerer, and he turns the mushroom people into, like, the bricks and stuff. It's like, kind of dark. And the Goombas were actually, like, people in the Mushroom Kingdom that have been turned. Which they could still hit that beat later on in the movie. There's also a scene where Peach is like, oh, let me guess, all the turtles from your area aren't evil either. And I was like, okay, so in this world, clearly it's established that all Koopas are on Bowser's side, which is odd because, you know, we're used to like the Paper Mario games and stuff like that. I say we as in like, you know, legacy gaming fans of the Mario series. There are good Koopas out there, like, you know, especially the ones hosting the Mario Party games and, you know, the Koopa villages in the Paper Mario games and all that stuff. Like, they're peaceful Koopas. So I'm wondering if this is, like, taking place in a time before Koopas formed peaceful settlements. Like, maybe now that, spoilers, beat Bowser and they have him kidnapped. Now that there's basically a power vacuum in the Darklands, or World 8, as I will always affectionately refer to it. I think now, like, maybe some peace-loving Koopas and Goombas and stuff will split off from Bowser, and they'll find peaceful settlements and integrate more with the Mushroom Kingdom. That's a good way to kind of integrate into the sequel. I love that Shy Guys and Sniffets are in this movie. they do a great job, and I was really thoroughly impressed with that. Sound effects, they use the Koopa sound effect. There's a scene where they use the jump sound effect. I think there's some coin stuff. And, of course, the power-ups and, like, Peach hitting the block and the mushroom popping out. Love the use of the power-ups. The fire flower. There's a scene where they're in a fire flower field, and that has not been in any Mario game, but I saw that, and my breath was taken away. I was like, that is such a beautiful backdrop, and now I just want a game taking place in the fire flower fields. Like, that would be so fun. But there's several power-ups used in this movie. The regular mushroom, the mini mushroom, the fire flower, ice flower, and star. And they all are done great when... Okay, this is more, like, towards the final battle, so if you don't want to hear my thoughts on this, like, you know, leave. When they first get the hold of the power star, or is it a power star? Is it invincibility star? Is it both, you know? They get a hold of that and they turn invincible, and Bowser steps on him, and there's like a Saitama-esque like shockwave that appears behind him, and I was like, that is badass. And once Luigi gets the star, he's like less cowardly in the movie, and like he's like standing tall, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, Bowser. The fight scenes are great. There's this scene with a bonsai bill that I absolutely adore, and it makes you wonder. You've always wondered if they're like sentient or if they're just painted on, but they confirm that. And in that moment, towards the end of that scene, I was just like, is Mario about to nuke Brooklyn right now? And I was like, they didn't go that route with it. So, but for a second, I was like, okay. In another scene, some of my favorite bosses show up, King Boo and King Babam, and they look great. King Babam looks great, and they probably made a point to make him look great because they punch in on him later for like a little bit of a gag. But King Boo, I swear, that guy looks like the ice cream treat version of a King Boo, like popsicle, you know what I mean? Like, he just looked like a little odd. He looked very Illumination-y. But I didn't have a problem with that. He looked great. Like, I was just happy to see him. And, you know, boos are there. There were not a lot of boos and babams. Oh, in the rave scene, or not rave scene, but, like, there's a scene where Bowser's just overlooking his minions, and they're having, like, a little party with, like, babams and stuff. And they're playing, like, the heavy metal, like, Bowser's Fury theme. That is absolutely wonderful. I loved that gag so much. And in the beginning of the movie, like, all the Brooklyn stuff is actually pretty fun. There's this dog that appears in the beginning of the movie, and I'm like, that is the most Illumination-ass looking dog that I've ever seen. I forgot his name. I think it was Francis or something like that. Oh, Chain Chomps. Were there chain chomps in this movie? I don't think they appeared either. Again, like, I'm not saying all these enemies have to appear. I'm just saying these are cool things that they could leave for the sequel, which would be great. I'm pretty sure they're going to make a sequel. This movie is so, like, good and well made, and I'm 99% sure they're going to have enough juice to make either a sequel or a miniseries or whatever. And if the sequels do well, they might even do, like, a spin-off. I would love to see, like, a Captain Toad movie or something like that. Kamek was great. I love his, like, use of the magic. Every time he, like, magics someone, they play that brrr, you know, that sound when he's doing the thing. I didn't see enough square X triangle, you know, shapes when Magic Koopas do their shit in Mario World, but the fact that they play that sound effect every time he, like, you know, does magic on someone, that's a cool touch. I think I've talked about most of it. Oh yeah, the first scene where Mario and Luigi, or, like, it's a really good characterization scene, but Mario, they're about to, like, their car breaks down and they have to get to a plumbing job, and Mario does, like, his parkour thing, like, and they kind of cut to, like, a 2D styled bit of Brooklyn where they kind of run through a shortcut, and it's really great because you're seeing, like, that's some game stuff, and then also it shows, like, the differences between Mario and Luigi as characters in this movie, which I had a little bit of a beef with. Like, again, I'm okay with Luigi being the damsel in distress for this movie. However, once he gets out, I wish they played up more of this man jumps higher than Mario, you know? Or, like, it would have been cool if, like, Mario and Luigi were running, and maybe they did this and I have to watch the movie again. Maybe, like, if Mario and Luigi were running from something and then they, like, have to turn on a dime or skid, if you see, like, Luigi, like, kind of, like, almost, like, skedaddle and fall off because he has less traction, that would be a fun game reference that I would have liked. They might have done that, so I need to double check that. But there was clearly a lot of love put in this movie. People who worked on this were definitely fans. There's some animation bits, like the Shy Guy thing that I said before, and also when Bowser's twirling Luigi's mustache, I was like, ooh, that's some, like, smooth-looking animation. It looked A+. Illumination always does a great job, so I'm not too surprised on that, but it was so nice to see. The colors were really vibrant. They made all the kingdoms look great. The woods and Bowser's area looked so awesome, especially that derelict castle that Luigi first goes to. I think that was just a beautiful scene. Also, the horror fan in me just loved it. And the Shy Guy's lighting up with the lightning. That was perfect. What else? Pauline appears in the movie. The baby versions of them appear in a flashback, which is great. Spike is in the movie, and he's fun. Oh my god, Mario's family. Mario and Luigi, their extended family is in this movie, and you're just like, whoa! they're just showing up, and that's awesome. Also, I think, like, there's, like, a cousin or something. There's, like, a redheaded woman. She's pretty bad. I'm just saying. But aside from that, it was just cool to, like, see, like, these guys got parents. Also, Mario without gloves is not something I ever thought I would see, and it was a little uncanny at the beginning, but, you know, the man's got hands. What can I say? Just the visuals. Lava and water, especially in this movie, looked A+. Like, that was some good-looking stuff in the... I was watching this in 3D, so I don't know how well this translates in just straight 2D, but there was a lot of good, like, foreground, background action. Like, there were a lot of cool, like, elements in the foreground. Like, in the woods, you see the branches tangling up, and in the fire flower area, you see, like, some of the flowers popping out in the foreground. So at least the 3D version of this movie is done really well. I got to see it in 2D to really, like, you know, talk about it. But, yeah, bloopers show up, the eel shows up. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I'm sure I'm missing stuff, but this is, like, my word salad. Oh my god, in the Donkey Kong scene, random ass Dixie and Chunky Kong and Diddy, like, I was not expecting them to be in the movie, so that was just really fun. Everything in the cart scene was great. I think I've spoken mostly. The action's great. Like, the scenes with Bowser fighting really show off his menace, and I like how when he gets really angry or roars, they actually, like, cut into his, like, game roar, and it works for me. Like, it didn't feel contrived or pandery. There was another visual gag where, like, the toads are hitting the coin block as their job, and you're like, oh yeah, that does look exhausting. That would be exhausting. You think coins are easy to come by, but man, it's just a lot of labor hitting that thing. So yeah, a little teaser at the end of the movie, which I think, you know, there's a lot of characters that can show up that didn't show up in this movie. So again, I hope you're not watching this if you haven't seen the movie already. But I see room for, obviously they're teasing Yoshi. They have room for Daisy to show up. Maybe Rosalina. I don't think we need to see Rosalina. I would love to see Wario show up, and I would love to see Waluigi get teased as the villain of the third movie. That would be so cool. It would have been cool to see like Wart or Tatanga or anything like that. Those have been deep cuts. There's some stuff in the beginning that references Punch-Out, which is great because it kind of shows Mario's roots, you know, referencing games like Wrecking Crew, Punch-Out, which Mario is technically in. Oh, and Charles Martinet. We got to talk about his little cameo as Mario, not Mario. And you just hear his voice of the character, and you're like, good to see you, Charles. Hi and bye. And he does appear a little bit later on, too, just for a second. But yeah, all in all, I love this movie. I think they did a great job with it. This was all just diarrhea of the mouth, me just like vomiting at you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to do a more comprehensive one, like really just like getting into the nitty gritty and the themes of the movie and like what this movie is like trying to say. And I might even watch it a second time. But for now, this is just like my initial impressions of the movie. The kid in me was really satisfied. The next time I watch it, I might watch it more with like a critical lens in mind. Sure, the plot's predictable, but like, you know, you kind of know what you're gonna get out of this. And, I don't think, Peach upstaged Mario in any way. She was really held her own as her character. She was strong, cool, but not like over the top. I didn't feel like I was being beaten over the head with anything. You know, some people were concerned about, whatever. But, and Luigi also, again, like, I think, yeah, I would have liked to see Luigi do a little bit more in his captivity, but again, he's really playing the scared angle, and it leaves room for him to have, like, a little bit of an arc in the second movie. But again, this is stuff I'll talk about more in my thorough review, and what I would expect from this series going forward, but all in all, I was very, very thoroughly satisfied with it. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you've seen the movie. In fact, I'm assuming you've seen the movie because I just spoiled the crap out of things. But what were your thoughts about the movie? What was your favorite part? Were there any like little bits that you really liked? Creating the carts were really awesome too. You know, just watching them do it. Toad's like monster truck, that was fun. Yeah, so many good bits in this movie. And it moved really like, it didn't slow down too much, which, movies can't really do that these days because if they're made for kids, you kind of have to like appeal to that like Gen Z TikTok mindset. So it moved really quickly, which is not a problem in my mind. So I'm going to end this video off here because I don't want it to go on too long. We're already at 23 minutes, but thanks so much for watching this video. I really want to hear your thoughts, so let's have a discussion down below in the comments. Make sure to like this video if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't, smack the bell so you never miss a thing. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you, fill in the blanks, for supporting me on Patreon. And keep an eye out for my review coming soon. And if you want to be held over with Danganronpa videos, I'm playing that right now on my Let's Play zone, and maybe I'll play another Mario game soon because I'm feeling the Mario right now. So, thanks so much. Take care. This is Dave out. Peace out. Bye.